Welcome to episode 36 of Let's Talk Money with Wendy Selebi. Can you believe it? The first quarter is almost over. And because we've been dealing with the topic air vision and goal setting, and we've had different, speakers come and share wisdom nuggets with us, I thought we should conclude this one with a life coach, an NLP coach, Tshidi Lethwane. Welcome, Tshidi.
Thank you so much for having me, Mama.
Yeah. So maybe, Tshidi, I always like my guests to introduce themselves, to talk around what they do. And I mean, I've just said NLP. What's that? What's that coaching modality at NLP?
Okay. So basically, NLP is an abbreviation. It stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming. And as we know, neuro speaks to the mind. Linguistic is language, both spoken and unspoken. And then programming. So as an NLP practitioner or coach, through use of communication, we reprogram the mind or the mindset. So through our coaching, we are able to change people's perspectives and thinkings around the different topics or the challenges that they might be going through. So, what a magician.
Okay. Wow. So we have a magician on the show today. Okay. I just thought it would be important just for, our viewers to have an understanding of what you do as well, so that if they do need a coach, they know where to go. I mean, we've had a psychologist, a counseling psychologist as well, talking to us about strategies that how can you coach how can you get yourself out if you have some blockages, mindset blockages. Yeah. So I mean, today I think it's important for me, Hore, we must just look at the first review. So you've set these goals since Udiseta, maybe probably in November, December, depending on how quick you were. People were doing vision boards. Everything is on paper. And handlingly, in the first 3 months, one should have implemented. So I thought, let's talk about reviewing your goals, because I think it's critical that you pause and review, and see where are you. So maybe some of my first question for you, Kuhore, what is important for me as I go into this reflective mode? What are some of the questions I should actually be asking myself as I review and reflect on my goals?
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
There's a lot. And also, I'm trying to play that back in my mind just so I don't lose anything. I think as a person, when you go into reflective mode, the first thing to do is, mostly when we reflect, we are so hard on ourselves. So before even going into checking whether you are there or not, start with being kind to self. Start with saying, TD, yes, the first quarter is gone. That's 3 months of the year. We are now in the beginning of the second quarter. Well done for being here where you are. So before you even look at what have I done, just congratulate yourself, pat yourself on the back and say, you are here now. So that's the first thing. Forgive yourself for anything. I always say, in advance, forgive yourself in advance for any wrongdoing that you might have done. That prepares your mind to say, I'm an achiever, I'm a winner. So already you're going in with the mindset of, I'm an achiever, I'm a winner, therefore I can never lose.
Then use a positive affirmations, just even before you review. You've got to psych yourself up,
It's very important. I always say to people, you can't pour from an empty cup. Therefore, you can't wait for people to come congratulate you. Congratulate yourself. So after all the pep talk or the self-affirmations, then you look into, these were my goals. So you always need to go back to the drawing board, or in this instance, your vision board, right? That you have prepared maybe in last year, November or January. Look at, this is where I would have wanted to be. Am I there? So we're going back to the SMART we're doing the M now, the measurable part of it. It's March. By March, I should have been at this point. Am I at that point? If I have or even succeeded or superseded, then well done. If not, then you look at what are the things that could have caused me to have delayed or to not have achieved. So already you're questioning why. Why am I slacking? Why am I lagging? Why am I falling behind? If you cannot get those answers, then it means then you need to look deeper, to look at what were the strategies that I used. Did I follow my plan to the T? Because sometimes we get so derailed in our plans. We want to do so many things at the same time. Then the next thing is 3 months. You have 3 or 5 major projects that you're looking at. And that is what derails us. So you need to be focused in order to achieve those goals. So am I where I wanted to be? Yes. If I'm not, what can I do differently? So if you're winning, keep to that formula. So if I'm winning now, I need to remember what is it that I've been doing consistently that has given me positive results. Then you keep to that. And that is your strategy going into the second, third, and last quarter of the year. So that's what we're doing when we're reflecting. What is working and what is not working. And we stick to the working.
Okay. So I set these goals, auspicious goals. I set them according to the SMART, your that acronym. Specific, measurable. Yeah. And then, guys, I did my beautiful vision board. And then, as you would know, life happens. And in particular, I'm talking about financial goals because, our finances, man, you can plan, you can have this strategy, and then something happens. Your tire, they are getting into a pothole, all 4 of them. You find that you have to replace 4 of your tires, and probably your emergency fund, it's still the beginning of the year, is not that kosher and whatever. Or something just happened, and now it's the second quarter. You are sitting there reflecting. You're looking at your financial goals and any other goals for that matter, and you realize, until I haven't started. And then discouragement comes in. How would you guide me if I was in that position where, ki discouraged, ki a bona hore, ke sentse nako, 4 months. I'm in my 4th month. Will I ever catch up with my goals? How would you encourage me as a coach and guide me back on track?
You're not being kind to me today.
Yeah.
Like you're bringing up the hard questions. And I love that we're talking money because the reality is not everybody has the pleasure of having savings or even emergency funds or whatever. So I would say be flexible even in those goals. Things will happen. And you just mentioned the thing, yeah, tire hore. You are on track, things are happening, now the tire bursts. It's not something that you can put on hold because it's an emergency. You need to deal with it at that time. And when I say be flexible, you need to be able to move your things around. And there's nothing wrong with pushing forward your goals, or delaying other goals. So this is a point where you go back and saying, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 goals that I've set for this quarter.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, due to this unforeseen circumstance, I'm not going to be able to achieve those goals or work on those goals. Then you go back to the drawing board, you prioritize them according to importance. And you will then say, okay, I've used these funds that were meant for ABC. I've used them on 1, 2, 3. What can I move around that is not as urgent or that is not as important and push it maybe into the third quarter so that it affords me the time to save better or to do better with my finances, and then I'll be able to catch up. I think what kills us is that once that stumbling block happens, we see it as a weapon that will definitely kill us. But instead look at it as a learning opportunity to say, maybe I wasn't prepared for this one. Maybe I need to prepare better and be ready for those stumbling blocks. And by being flexible, you're looking at, for instance, this morning as I was driving, I had planned my route, very carefully. I knew it's going to take me 45 minutes. It took me 2.5 hours to get to my destination. But thank goodness for I think GPS. I used Waze. It was able to redirect me. Had I not used those tools that were available to me, I would have been stuck maybe even for 4 hours or longer. But because I was flexible enough to say, what other route can I take? What other strategy can I use in order to achieve these goals? I was able to get to my destination. Yes, I was slightly late, but I got there. So even with our goals, what other route can you take with your goal? The saving route didn't work for you. Maybe cut down on those goals. Really. There's nothing wrong with pushing, saying, I wanted this in 2025. Now it's April. You can see that it's not going to happen in 2025. Moving it to 2026 does not make you a failure. It just simply says, I needed more time on this. And that is where adulting comes in to realize that actually this is the real life. It's not the movies. And just because it's on that, it's not cast in stone and something that can be shifted. So we need to be kind to ourselves and learn that life will happen. Things will throw us off course. And then when it does, be flexible. Check other things. Ask other people, guys, I'm stuck here. What else can I do? Learn from other people. Look at somebody that you admire and model what they are doing to say, this person was able to achieve this and this is what I'm struggling with. How about I approach them and ask them what strategies worked for them? What characters can you draw from them that will also enable you to achieve those goals? So just because it's there does not mean there is no other way of doing it.
Yeah, I think I like that. I like the fact that if somebody else that you admire is doing well and you can see what they're achieving, there's nothing wrong with approaching and asking them to share with you. And I'm hoping that, people that are doing well, Libuona, they are open to sharing the strategies that they use so that they can empower others, because it's truly about us empowering each other, iron sharpening iron, another iron. And so, I mean, this brings me to another question. Yakuru. Okay, when we set goals, you probably set goals in 4 or 5. I always say to people, maybe have 3 goals for the year or 4. More than that is a lot. So let's say I've set goals in the financial, in business, in education, and spiritual, right? And the spiritual, I'm doing well there. But when it comes to the other 3 goals, there's this one goal that is really now taking up all my time to a point where the other 3 are suffering. And you know what? You've just said, would you shift a little to 2026, but you feel I've brought this goal from 2024 into 2025. Now I'm here and I see this one goal is consuming me. And I don't want to have a goal that is recurring for 3 years. Is it maybe the way that I set goals? What is it that I need to go back and look at, for me to maybe set goals better next year? So if I'm your client and I'm coming and I'm in this situation, how would you then, advise me so that next year I don't find myself in this situation? Yeah. Are there goals that are bigger than others? Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
I'm glad actually that you posed that question. There's a tool that can be used called a needs analysis, right? You can use it in different areas. So let's now bring it back to the goal setting. So what with this tool, what we really achieve with that is we look at the things that are important to you. So it goes back to prioritizing. So in that tool, we look at the time. It's time, it's people, and it's money.
Okay.
Right. So the time, are you creating the time or making the time in order for you to work on this goal? If it's too much effort, then it means then it's not for you, or it's not really something that you really want. You're just doing it, maybe, I don't know why you're doing it, because if it was really important, you would create the time for it. Okay. Then we come to the people. Do you have people that affect this goal? Are there people that you need to work with in order for you to achieve this goal? And if that goal is dependent on people, that's not for you. Because then you are a people pleaser. You are doing it because you want an applaud from so and so. You want to do this because you want Mama Wendy to say well done, or you think it will bring you public satisfaction or whatever.
Before you move to money, I want us to pause on this people one, because yes, I hear you that you are saying if your goal is dependent on people, you probably won't achieve it because maybe you're doing it for applaud about it. But what if for me to achieve my goal, 90% of it depends on other people, because they are my door openers. They are the ones that have got the contact, or they are the ones that can truly pave the way for me. And then now my 10% is to be forever on their backs and asking them, "Hi man, open the door for me." What do I do? Because this goal is critical and important to me. It's something that I truly want to achieve, but I do need these people to open the door for me. And they're not coming to the part. Do I discard the goal? Or what other strategy can I use maybe to approach it? Maybe my approach is sharp.
I'm probably not going to be light for this one, but if your goal is 90% dependent on other people, it's not your goal.
Right.
Because then I understand the opening doors part of it, but what if those people that you're looking to don't want to open the doors for you?
Yeah.
What if they don't want to? Sometimes you'll say you're waiting for finance from so and so, or you're waiting for Coach Tshidi to introduce you to Coach Wendy, so then Coach Wendy can hold your hand. So what happens if those people are not willing to come to the party? So it means what your goal is dead.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by saying that goal is not for you.
Yeah.
So it's important that when we set these goals, we set it brings us to the A of the SMART thing, because it says attainable. Is it attainable by yourself, or do you need other people to help you attain that goal? There are goals that you can't attain by yourself because obviously you need assistance. But if it was the other way around, meaning 90% on me and 10% from other people, then go ahead and do it. But if it's solely dependent on other people, relook at it, or find another way of, there's different ways to get into the goal. Find other ways that will get you to that goal without having to depend on other people.
Yeah. I think it's a question that I've been posing throughout this series, to make sure that, the viewers and myself, either way, because every time we talk about this, I take a message as well for myself. And I hope that Simlet is also taking something from it, to say, make sure that your goals, you are responsible for 90% of your goals. If you set that goal, it mustn't be on the top of your list. It must be goal number 4. And I might, from the beginning, you kind of like limit your expectations around that goal. You set it because it is something that you aspire towards, Mara. You limit your expectations so that you don't get so discouraged that when you have to push it from 2020 to 2025 or 2027, it's something that is acceptable. And I mean, I'm preaching to myself, by the way.
I'm also preaching to
I do have a goal like that, and it's so important for me. But your 90% is other people. And it depends also, I think, on your personality. We talk about money, personalities, but also your personality when you are unable to follow people up. It's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. And
Mm.
also, Mama, I think this, how it helps, it's also psych. We go back to the neuro part of it. When you are preparing yourself in the beginning to say, maybe let me not put it there on top. Because remember, the more you delay or the more of the goal you don't achieve, the more demoralizing it is, the more demotivating it is. So if you put such a goal as your top priority, it's going to destroy you, because now every year you're not achieving it. Every year you're not achieving it. In the end, you're going to give up on everything else, because now you go in with that thing of say, nka se di kry-e go a tshwana. Then you end up wanting to give up. Whereas if you put the things that you're good at right at the top, things that you are sure, things that you love, things that give you life. You know, when you think about it, you get excited. That's why I'm smiling now. I just thought of something that I did that I love. And it's so empowering that every time I achieve it, it's also a confidence booster, because it says, wow, such a big thing, you're able to do it. And then it, prepares me for the other small things that I need to do. So if you shift that specific goal that's 90% dependent on other people to the back, it kind of gives you the room to play with the other goals and to achieve the goals. So be careful of not setting yourself up for failure.
Yes. Yeah, and that's the A, right? The achievable.
Right.
Yeah, and then you were still talking about the money.
Okay, so it's how to deal with the time, the people, and the money, right? There are other goals that need financial boosts. There are other goals that you can't achieve them without spending money on it. Do you have that money set aside for it, for that goal? Do you have the money for it? And it's important. We're dealing with finances. So if now you're going to need to borrow money for that goal, is it worth it?
Yeah.
Is it worth it for you to put it there?
Yeah. And you know what, when at Tshidi, no, I was talking to someone the other day, and they were just sharing with me, no, I have this goal that I'm going to do, and then I'm going to use my retirement. I need to achieve it. And I'm like, no ways. You cannot work your whole life. At the end, when your income ceases and your expenses go up, then you take the money that's supposed to look after you now for the rest of your remaining days on earth, and you plow them into something. And I was actually saying, when you thinking about goals, and maybe you've set a goal and it needs finances, you have to really think through about it. And if you're going to borrow money, you have to have the assurance, Hore, this thing is going to be successful. Because, I tell people, Lord, when you are thinking about something, oh no, I'm going to buy a machine and I'm going to do these 3 things. And then, first month, if I sell 30, it will give me this, then I'll be able to pay off the loan, or by second month, by month 6. But in reality, it's not always working. It's not always working like that. And I just want to encourage someone that is sitting there planning and thinking, Gilo start a business, kasama batho baja ice cream. So definitely if I stand there and I have, this ice cream stand, they'll definitely buy and I'll pay the machine off in 6 months. On paper, it looks good.
Perfect.
It's when you practice, and it can really get you into financial trouble. Over and above that, it can discourage you badly, because you have not thought it through, especially the finance piece. And isn't it that most of the goals that we set that are auspicious, they need some form of financial injection?
True. And you've just nicely brought us into the art, the realistic but smart principle, because on paper, the summer is beautiful. People like ice cream. Look at the weather now. It's gloomy. Nobody's going to eat ice cream in this weather.
Right.
We've had a lot of rain. It's been a rainy season. So ice cream is not really selling well, right? So yes, we do our analysis, we do our projections, and we do everything that it is that we need to do when we aspire to be business people or when we want to start these businesses. But it goes back to, have you spoken to the people around you that are in similar businesses? Have you seen, like, not just speak, like go there and say, listen, I'm about to start this such and such a business. What are the pros? What are the cons? In the last few years, in the last 3 years, what have you experienced? Has the business really been as profitable as I think it has been? Or is there some things that I need to look into? So really do a thorough study of the business that you want to go into. And when you said spending all your pension money or your payout on it, that's not a risk that we want to take. Not in Cyril's economy. Because now that money, you don't get to.
Like people say in Sellers economy,
Things are rough. Things are expensive. Yeah. So look at, you've worked for the past 40 years. Now it's time for you to go relax. Go to the islands, go on cruises and whatnot. You want to take that money, go gamble with it with no assurance that you're going to make it back.
Yeah.
You can't do that. We really need to sit down after the excitement and let reality simmer and do your SWOT analysis, do your what is happening out there in the, and now we live in an age of AI, we live in the age of for IR, we have internet in the in our hands. Do your research, do your research. The internet is available there. Look at what is currently happening and ask yourself, do I really want to go into that? Or is that the kind of risk that I'm prepared to take with my money, my hard and will?
Yeah, no. And I always say, that it makes sense that if you are thinking along those lines, and I mean, this conversation is not meant to discourage anyone, but really to shed light around how you can literally use your money, your hard-earned money, and make sure that you don't throw it into a business or an idea or a goal that looks like it will succeed, but in essence, it's actually a big hole where you're going to be throwing your money. I always say to people, if you're thinking of maybe starting something, a lot of people will say, yeah, my money, maybe let me start a business, let me leave work and work for myself. I always say, why don't you start while you're still employed?
Yes.
Start while you're still employed. Do this thing, see if it works. And then when you set your goals, you know that you have a solid foundation that you are building from. So I think proper foundations are critical, and they can take us to where we want to go. So maybe as we round off the discussion, I just want to, I know you touched on it a little, but I just want you to then, advise the viewers to say, okay, KQ1, hey, you are succeeding, and you're probably thinking, you have done well. Sometimes success can also be a cause to our failure. So I just want you to give us some coaching tips as a coach, Kore. How do I raise the bar? How do I keep the momentum? How do I stretch myself and not bask in my victory? Because when you bask in that victory, that's where sometimes your failure can come.
Sure. Okay.
Take a moment.
I'm just taking it on. I actually got me where you said, when you want to start a business, start while you're employed.
Yeah.
Like my own personal experience just came flash.
Yes.
I remember how excited I was to start. Because sometimes we go into it thinking, here's a quick buck. And then it's 4 years or 3 years later, you have not even made a profit. Not even, forget a profit, you have not made money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Even the clients you thought, these are my target market. And actually, I was working with them while I was still employed. And you think when the relationship, they will be for you. And that's it. They're not for you.
That's a rude awakening. And as you rightfully said, that we're not trying to discourage people here. We're just saying, think before you jump in. Like, take your time, invest in that research before you go into it, because the grass is not always green on the other side.
And while you're still putting manure on the grass, the money is getting finished.
Right? Because when you're employed, there's that guarantee of the salary. But now you are self-employed. It depends on you. So you literally sign your own check. And if you go months without the injection, it can be discouraging. You will want to give up. Like I've wanted to give up so many times. But I think in trying to answer your question, the first thing would be to say, remember your why.
Yes.
Remember why you started. Remember why the reason you want to do this thing. Sometimes it's because you're trying to prove a point to yourself. You want to prove a point to other people. Because I know people that will say, for many years I was called a failure. Right? And then there's that sometimes you're not even doing it for the money, for the fulfillment, or because you've recognized that it's your purpose. So let that be the driving force behind the goals or the business that you want to start. Knowing why you're doing it, knowing your why will help you to motivate you on the days that you don't feel like waking up. Motivate you on the days where you feel like, is this really worth it? So as soon as you go back to your why, the why then reminds you, but you love this thing, but this is your purpose, this is so fulfilling. Then it brings back a smile onto your face and you push yourself again. Then after remembering your why, put action into it. Because sometimes we just write our goals, right? Put action. And by putting action, we often want to wait for the perfect moment to act. There's never going to be a perfect moment. There's always going to be something that is happening that is going to distract you. So start where you are with what you have and with who you have, if it's dependent on people. So where you are with the little money that you've got, or the little savings that you've got, the little tools or the minimal tools that you've got, and build on that. If you're saying, let's make it practically, I want to start a catering business, you're waiting to buy the fryers, the pots, and that could take 6 years for you to possibly acquire everything. But start with the stove. I've got a friend that started a business, a baking business, in the privacy of her own home. Got 4 stove, 4-plate stove, the small one. Right now she's running a successful baking business because she started where she was with the little that she had and pushed. So don't wait for the perfect moment. There's never going to be a perfect moment. Number 3, be flexible. Again, flexibility. If something comes, have a plan B. Have a plan B, because, guys, life is not linear. And life is going to throw you stumbling blocks for the terrible, at the most unexpected time, right? 4, learn from the people that have been doing it longer than you. Find mentors, right? Even if you don't find them, Baba, you find them on the internet. Now we live in the TikTok era, right? Research on people that are doing things that you're doing. Watch their videos. They share their stories. People share their stories all the time. Look at what they've done that's made them so successful. Follow in their steps. If you can reach out to them and ask them to mentor you. Right? And then once you've done that, keep doing it every day until, I was saying this morning that sometimes you give up just at that moment where you're about to popa, because you've been failing for so long or you've been struggling for so long. The moment that you give up could have been that moment that your break is coming. You don't know when your break is coming. So until that day comes, keep pushing and keep working at it until it works. And if you're one of those few ones that have found the formula that makes it work, do that and do it 10 times at the rate that you're currently doing it. Because then it will yield more positive results, and you'll find smooth sailing in a department or in a industry where people are struggling.
Okay, sure. You've said a mouthful, but the one thing that I took out is that goals without action, you're just taking a walk in the park. And like, if you don't follow through every goal with clear actionable steps. Financial goals need you to be very meticulous. They need you to practice them every day, as you were saying.
Every hour.
Every hour, every minute, every day is decision making day. And where you spend your money, with who you spend your money, how you spend your money, those are incremental decisions. And they actually culminate at the end of the month. When you look at your budget, you're skating, if you do look at it, and those are the daily habits. So I think what's critical and what I got out of what you were saying is that you have to have your mindset right every day. Be mindful. How am I spending my money today? What am I spending it on? Yesterday, how much did I spend? Today, how much am I spending? By tomorrow, how much have I spent within or outside of my budget? And that your goals should be a daily thing that you
Daily
take.
decision that we make.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you took it there, because sometimes we think even a 20 rand extra is little.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if we're looking at 30 days,
Yeah.
how much extra did you go out of budget? Yeah. If it's not on the budget, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Tshidi, I'm talking to you now.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, special. It's like coffee. Coffee is on special. You are forever telling me about the special coffee. And then we run out and go and buy. And we haven't thought about it. And those are the little things that catch us out, that can throw us out of our budget.
Right? And you said there, a goal goes with action. Another important thing is, we say in coaching, a goal is not a goal unless there's a date attached to it. So unless there's a date, it's just a wish.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So yes, you've set it for 2025, but when in 2025? That's another thing that kills us. It comes third of last quarter, you've got 6 outstanding goals for the year because there was no date. You're just working. So put that pressure on yourself to say, on the 30th of June, I'm going to have achieved this.
Yeah.
And another fun thing, just before we wrap up, is that put a reward to the goals.
Yeah.
I always say, if I want something nice that I want to buy for myself, I'm going to attach it to a goal.
Yeah.
It's still something that I wanted, but now because it's a reward, I push harder because I wanted that thing. We're just talking now about that nice sneaker that I wanted.
Yeah.
So I've attached it to a bigger goal. I said, if I'm able to submit this assignment before this set date, then I'm going to get that sneaker.
Yeah.
And because I want that reward, guess what I'm doing? I'm working towards the goal.
Exactly.
So you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So always remember to attach a date to those goals. It seems like, what's a date?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's going to be the decider, that whether or not, the deciding factor on whether or not you achieve that goal or not.
Yeah. Well, Tshidi, thank you for all these wisdom nuggets that you've been dishing out, that are helping us just to, refocus and build on what we have done. And as always, at the end of the session, I always ask my guests to drop a wisdom nugget that people will always remember you by. When they think of this conversation, they think of those last words that you spoke about, goals. Yeah.
Sure. I definitely didn't think of that one today. I didn't come in ready. Ooh, I don't want to use my last one. Let's stick to us. Which is, yes. You can be a masterpiece and a work in progress simultaneously.
Yeah.
That's a powerful one. Then I
love that one, actually. And maybe people missed it. In the other episode, they haven't watched that episode. So I think let's drop that nugget again.
Okay, let's drop it. So every time you think of Coach Tshidi, think of this one. You are allowed to be both a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time.
You are allowed to be a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. And that's how we come to the end of this amazing and empowering conversation with Coach Tshidi Lethwane. Thank you for watching this episode. And if you found what we were talking about quite empowering and interesting, please share, like, comment, and the most important one is to click on that subscribe button. And then you will not miss our exciting episodes that are coming. On that note, CD, cheers.
Thank you.